Hi, I'm Dr. Lori Schwartz-Reichel. My career began in music education where I learned the importance of a key change, a shift, in the tonal center of a piece of music, often used to inject energy or produce significance. Eventually, I realized the impact of making key changes in all areas of my life and the desire to help others do the same. Making key changes can be difficult. I certainly don't have all the answers, but I do like to pose questions for reflection and offer actionable key changes for us to attempt in both our working and living situations. Together, we can unlock our greatest potential in collaboration with those we love, serve, and lead. Let's discover how we can grow together by making key changes. Patience is the ability to wait calmly without getting upset or anxious. It's an important virtue, especially when dealing with challenges, long processes, or things that are out of our control. This spring, I announced the creation of the Confidence Camp to be held for girls this summer. If you are unfamiliar with it, please listen to episode number 59 of the podcast titled Build Confidence in Yourself and Others to learn more. Although this new endeavor has been exciting, there have been several challenges and frustrations with its rollout. The last several weeks have tested my patience tremendously with my work. After promoting the Confidence Camp on social media and via emails, my website experienced some technical issues. This was upsetting and of great concern since all the information for the camp and the registration process are located on my website. I immediately called the support team for my web hosting service, the first time being very late one night. After nearly an hour on the phone with a representative, the issue appeared to be resolved sometime after midnight. However, a few days later, I experienced another issue. I called the website host back 3 more times in one day. Each time, I would notify a calm representative on the other end of the phone line that something different was not properly functioning on my website. With each phone call, I became more frustrated. I tried to keep myself calm and collected. A full day went by when I would receive several email notifications that my website was down and offline, and then several minutes later to inform me when the site came back online. Each time I read one of these messages, I felt ill from the pit of my stomach. After I had done what I could to rectify the situation, along with the website hosting service attempting several troubleshooting scenarios with failed attempts to resolve the issue, I notified my website developer. He has an active business and family, so he got back to me as soon as time permitted. When he was able to dedicate the time, the largest issue was resolved, but other issues had emerged on my website. Hours went by with little reassurance that things were improving. Then, I received an email from my web host service that read, "Thank you for contacting our escalated support team. This is an automatic email to inform you that we received your case. Our team is working diligently to resolve your issue as quickly as possible. However, depending on the complexity of the issue, it may take 24 to 72 hours for resolution. We appreciate your time and patience." There was that word, patience. Normally, something of this magnitude would freeze me from progressing in other aspects of work or life. In this case, it literally did, as I couldn't continue with some responsibilities for the camp. I barely slept the first night, waking up frequently to check the status of the site. I had a nightmare that the website completely crashed, and then I flatlined. The flatline sound jolted me up in my bed. I couldn't sleep the rest of the night. I was trying to wait calmly without getting upset for the website issues to be resolved. I was shocked that I did not cry. This inconvenience impacted my business and entire mood. I was tired, irritated, and negative. The website glitch was all I could think about. It was in my constant thoughts. I needed help, so I Googled quotes on the meaning of patience to inspire me and read tips for being more patient. As a result of the situation with my website and the interruption to the camp registration, I attempted ways to calm myself. I ended up breathing more deeply. I went for longer walks. I sat in silence and meditated. I prayed. I tried to focus on other things that I knew had to get done, like doing several loads of laundry, scripting a few podcast episodes, responding to emails, and prepping for a few upcoming talks on burnout. The irony in prepping for a talk about addressing, resolving, and preventing burnout was that I was simultaneously feeling tremendously burnout from the website situation. I typed a few frantic emails and text, but thank goodness I drafted them and let them sit. When I returned to some of them, I either deleted them entirely or shortened them, using gentler language or with a greater sense of urgency, stating instead how my business was being affected rather than my mood. I reminded myself that no one had died. My health was fine. My family was safe. Life kept moving on, even though a portion of mine felt frozen for more than a day. I had hoped that if someone encountered an issue while attempting to learn more about the camp or registering for it, they would return to the site another time, when it was hopefully working properly. Or they'd find a way to contact me. I cuddled with my children longer that night. I went to bed earlier. I also ate several M&Ms. Discovering ways to be more patient requires a combination of self-awareness, practice, and sometimes adjusting our perspective. Consider these 5 key changes for ways to be more patient. Key change number 1, mindful methods. This may be different for everyone. It could include deep breathing, stretching, exercising, or even praying. Key change number 2, shift focus. Rather than doing nothing, shift your focus to something you can control. This could include a house chore, a work task, or a hobby. It could even include rest or connecting with others. Key change number 3, set realistic expectations. Sometimes impatience comes from unrealistic timelines. Be aware of how long things actually take and adjust your expectations to hopefully avoid frustration. Key change number 4, avoid impulsive decisions. When you're impatient, you're more likely to make rash decisions. Pause before reacting or making choices in moments of frustration. And key change number 5, practice gratitude. Reflect on what you are grateful for at that moment in time. Concerning this podcast, I have had to demonstrate a great deal of patience too. When I first launched the podcast in January 2024, I had an incredible number of downloads on the trailer and the first episode. I am certain it was due to family and friends clicking on the link to tune in. Then there was a large drop in downloads from episode number 1 to episode number 2. And as we approached the 10th episode, each week had a few more downloads shaved off. By episode number 9, we realized the audio was not as clear as we would have liked. I upgraded my laptop and this immediately helped. Beginning with episode number 10, a clearer sound emerged. Then the downloads leveled off. For several months, there was a similar amount of downloads each week. I was frustrated. I wondered if I should even continue with podcasting. Why weren't more people listening? Why weren't people sharing the show with others? Why weren't more people hiring me to speak? I didn't give up though. Instead, I began promoting the show more often on social media. I used the stories feature more on Facebook and Instagram to post snippets or images of each episode. I posted more often about the podcast on LinkedIn too. It was exhausting and I felt burned out. I was exerting so much effort and the downloads were barely increasing. There was little or no feedback from listeners during this time either. But then something changed. We might call it a key change. About a year into the show's existence and after refreshing the podcast cover, there was and continues to be a gradual uptick in downloads. Speaking invitations have come in too. I will keep being patient. And as we discussed in episode number 58, titled Ask for What You Want, I am going to ask you for your help to please share this podcast with others. Follow or subscribe to the show too. Also rate and review it on Apple Podcast. All of these actions help more people find the show and listen along each week. I credit my patience with the podcast growth with the selection of my one word for the year. If you haven't listened to it yet, check out episode number 49, A Word to the Wise, where we choose one word as inspiration for the year. My word for this year is consistent. I talk about this word in episode number 51. Consistency is key. I have remained consistent in producing a podcast episode each week. I have remained consistent in creating weekly and monthly content too. Even with the website debacle, I remain consistent with my other responsibilities for home and work, or at least I attempted to do so. This consistency is paying off for my business, health, and family. But the patience certainly wasn't easy. Waiting calmly and not getting upset or anxious is difficult. Patience helps us to stay on task when progress feels slow or uncertain, which is a vital part of maintaining consistency in any endeavor. The two work hand in hand. Patience allows you to keep going when it feels tough. And consistency is the daily effort that leads to results. Patience is possible. Access the show notes for some more resources to help you and those you love, serve, or lead to grow. My main work is public speaking, so if you feel the contents of this episode or any of my talks or courses would add value to your school, company, or organization, please contact me. How are we making key changes to be patient with our progress? Thanks for listening. If you haven't done so yet, please consider rating and reviewing the Making Key Changes podcast on the Apple Podcast app. If you found this episode helpful, please consider sharing it with others and joining me again next week. In my coming episodes, I'll discuss topics that are most passionate to me, along with things I've been researching or areas of my life I have changed or want to change. You can learn more about me on my website, makingkeychanges.com. Feel free to message me through there or reach out on social media. I'd love to hear from you and learn about what key changes you hope to make.